Mexico, the Yucatan Peninsula. For over 2,000 years, rain-drenched jungles and fertile plains served as the home of one of the ancient world's greatest civilizations, the Maya. Scholars estimate that between 250 and 900 AD, the Mayan population consisted of between 15 to 20 million people and extended as far south as Costa Rica and Guatemala. Archaeological evidence suggests the Maya were one of the first ancient people to develop a written language, use modern mathematical methods, and build massive, multi-story celestial observatories, all at a time when Europeans were struggling through the so-called Dark Ages.
The Maya are considered one of the great advanced civilizations with hyper-advanced astronomy, astrology, trigonometry, architecture, all of these things while the Europeans were, at the time, rolling around in the mud.
But perhaps the most amazing Mayan achievement was their system of charting the stars and planets in the form of a calendar.
The Mayas were timekeepers above and beyond all other things. Keeping up with time was magic, it was power to the Mayans.
They were tracking in particular Venus, phases of the moon, eclipses, but they also tracked precession, which is an extraordinarily long cycle. What it means is that every year on, say, March 15th, the Pleiades rise for the first time in the sky. If you wait 72 years, the day of the rising of the Pleiades will be one day earlier. And if you wait another 72 years, it'll be a day earlier still. And if you wait 26,000 years, the Pleiades will move back to that same day.
According to scholars, the Maya believed that time, like the stars, moved in repeating patterns, called calendar cycles.
The Mayans knew, not only did they know where the center of the galaxy was, but they understood that it was a light year across black hole that they called the Great Rift.
The Maya believed this was the birth canal of the universe, and that all things came from the birth canal of the universe. And on December 21st, 2012, the Earth, the Sun, and this birth canal, the Dark Rift, are all in perfect alignment. And this only happens every 26,000 years.
Could the fact that the Maya long count calendar ends on the same day as this rare alignment in the Milky Way galaxy be a mere coincidence? And did this advanced understanding of celestial cycles really come from ancient Mayan astronomers observing the stars with only their naked eyes?
The Mayans believed that this knowledge came to them from their gods, and their gods then existed in the stars. So is it possible that these gods could have been extraterrestrials? The answer to that question is yes, it's possible.
According to the Maya themselves, this knowledge was not something that they came up with, but it was given to them as a gift from the gods. The gift back then was not material stuff, it was knowledge. Knowledge is the currency of the universe.
Currently, there are 562 Native American tribes in the United States. Many of them, like the Navajo, Hopi, and Zuni, have stories of otherworldly beings visiting Earth. Often referred to as star beings, these alien visitors are said to come down from the sky to teach mankind. And in some cases, they are even said to mate with human women, resulting in the birth of star children.
The stories of star children are quite common in Native culture. There can be quite a variety of forms of that sort of thing as well. But typically, there's a star and a human being that join together, and a child is born from that union.
They were then cared for and raised by the Indian tribes until the age of 6, when the star beings would return and retrieve the star children and leave the entire tribe staring up into the night sky, wondering what had happened to them and where they'd gone.
That's quite an interesting story in itself, to give birth to a star child and then have it taken from you. There's also the story of some star children have been left behind to become interwoven into the tribe. A lot of them later in life become elders, even at a very young age. And that's because they're believed to carry the ability or the knowledge to heal the earth.
According to the Hopi people, a tribe of more than 18,000 living on a reservation in northeastern Arizona, it is the Star Children who will ultimately repair what they call the Koyani Skatsi, meaning a life of corruption and turmoil, or life out of balance.
The Hopi believe the earth is out of canter. It's not balanced any longer. And it's these star children that live among the Hopi that advise even the elders on how to put the earth back into balance again.
The star kids' job as they grow up is going to be not only to inherit the earth, as the phrase goes, but to reform the earth, to remake human society.
In the Hopi legend, it is said that the Star Children will prepare humankind for the arrival of what they call the Blue Star and the Kachina, or star being, who will arrive with it.
There's a lot of debate what the blue star is. But when the blue star comes, it will crash to the earth. This dwelling place in the sky will crash to the earth. And the blue star Kachina will take off his mask in the village plaza. And that will be the end of the fourth world.
Many Hopi refer to the Blue Star as a house in the sky, leading some ancient astronaut theorists to suggest that this prophecy is a reference to the impending arrival of extraterrestrial life.
Some Hopi refer to the blue star as a house in the sky or a dwelling in the firmament that one day will descend from the stars amidst a fiery crash. Now, what does this mean? To me, what is described here might be the eventual arrival of extraterrestrial craft. The day they will return will change mankind's history forever, because then the truth will be revealed to the masses in one instant for everyone to see.
Megiddo, Israel. Located 11 miles from Nazareth, this ancient city is mentioned more than a dozen times in the Bible, most prominently in the prophetic Book of Revelation. According to the religious text, it is outside this city on the so-called plains of Megiddo, where the forces of the Almighty God will wage a final battle against Satan and the forces of evil.
The book of Revelation is certainly one of the most complicated books in the Bible, and it belongs to a separate set of material that's called Apocalyptic. It is a book that gives visions of the future to come.
There's a battle that will take place in a valley in Israel called Megiddo, or Har Megiddo. Thus, Armageddon, we get the term. Satan himself will gather the armies of the world to Megiddo to fight Jesus Christ.
Satan takes on a more physical appearance, uses various technologies to enslave more and more of mankind. Ultimately, he becomes a geopolitical force basically, essentially a dictator of the entire world.
The book of Revelation further describes that this battle will be fought in heaven and on earth. Angels will descend from the sky. Demons will spread out across the land to destroy with fiery swords. And the Almighty God will rain destruction down upon earth.
The book of the Revelation is really a pretty terrifying document if we're to look at it and think that these things could happen literally. I mean, when you look at what's happening in the book, we have cataclysms on the earth, we have earthquakes, we have fire raining from the sky, we have angels doing battle in heaven. And then repeatedly we have Satan coming back.
But could it be that this biblical prophecy isn't a doomsday prediction of cataclysm and war, but it has another, even more profound interpretation?
The book of Revelation gives us some of the clearest depictions of what not a few moderns would call extraterrestrial activity. Think about it. We have supernatural beings flying through the cosmos, blowing trumpets, casting fire upon the earth. We have great conflict between light and darkness, good and evil. There's a cosmic dualism going on here that involves, in the end, the reassertion of divine authority over those wayward angels who had gone astray so long ago.
Extraterrestrial combat? Could the Bible's book of Revelation really be referring to a galactic war? One waged over the ultimate fate of mankind? If so, who or what is Satan? Is he a demon, the devil, the personification of evil? Or was he, in fact, a benevolent extraterrestrial being? One who stole technology from alien beings in an effort to lead early man out of darkness and ignorance. If so, then why did Satan become a force for evil? Does he seek to punish mankind for siding with our Creator against him? Perhaps he is testing us, using alien technology to modify human behavior in ways we have yet to understand.
He's this idea of an adversary, this idea of a liar or a tester, combined with this concept of Lucifer, the fallen angel, combined with this leader of the Watchers, who also leads a rebellion. And I think that ultimately what we find is that Lucifer is a conflation, a character who is a composite of all of these different ideas and different characters.
It's important for us to remember that Satan is part of the class of angels called seraphim. The seraphim were sent to earth as benefactors of humankind, bringing wisdom. The church has created this evil monster out of Satan, perhaps even out of thin air, when in reality, Satan's entire mission was about bringing knowledge and wisdom to humanity, and in fact, caring about humanity, not seeking to destroy humankind.
In a sense, Satan's not such a bad guy. You cannot have the light without the dark. You can't have right without wrong. And we have to learn these things for ourselves. And ultimately, through choice, wrong and right, we grow and we become who we are. And ultimately, that is to be like our makers, to become gods ourselves.
December 21st, 2012. According to some researchers and scholars, this is the day when the Mayan calendar suggests the world will come to an end. But there is another, equally curious aspect to the Mayan calendar. Not when it ends, but when it begins. More than 3,000 years before the Mayan civilization even existed.
the origin of the long count calendar, why they created day 1 to be August 13th, 3114 BC, is still a mystery. It's obviously backdated. There were no Maya back then. So why did they backward project 3,000 years into the past? Based on the things we have learned about the Maya, it should be something astronomical.
One of the ideas about why they backdated it to 3114 BC is because some kind of cataclysm happened then. Recent research has discovered that an asteroid or multiple asteroids did hit an area around Austria and Europe. And that could have caused a blackout of the sky for several years. And this is then when the calendar began.
Scientists at Harvard and Princeton have said that this massive global worldwide catastrophe, a mass glaciation of the planet, occurred when this age of the Mayan calendar begins. This happened not within tens of thousands of years or hundreds of years, but within weeks, within days, literally. This took everyone by surprise.
According to the Mayans, we are coming to the end of the 5th age. There have been 4 catastrophes before us. Each one ended up with a destruction of the Earth. And now we're just coming to the end of the 5th age of the Mayans, which will end now in December of 2012. According to the Mayan predictions, this will also end in a giant catastrophe.
The Western view of time is very linear. When we think about life, we see it as this linear projection heading out into the future. For the Maya, they viewed life very cyclically.
Is it possible the Mayan calendar ends on December 21, 2012, because they expected that the 5th age of man will end much in the same way as it began? Were they privy to some ancient knowledge that has been lost in time? And if so, can proof be found by examining similar doomsday predictions from other ancient cultures?
Egyptian time coding in the Great Pyramid of Giza is telling us that there would be a series of water-based catastrophes between late 2004 through about 2006, and look what happened. We have the Asian tsunami, which kills about 250,000 people. We have Hurricane Katrina. Then there's actually this trough called the River of Fire, which is warning us of some massive cosmic event, maybe a solar flare or what have you, that then washes humanity back into this pit.
In addition to the eerie similarity between the Mayan and Egyptian prophecies, researchers have also noticed a connection in the doomsday predictions of the Hopi Indians of the American Southwest.
The Hopi people of the Native American nations believe that we are in the 5th age of man, and that this is an age of purification, and that it is near the end time.
The Hopi believe that unless all the people of the earth can come down and live more in harmony with themselves and with the planet, that there's going to be a great destruction coming.
In India, the ancient Buddhist and Hindu astronomical manuscript Surya Siddhanta predicts that mankind will soon reach the end of the Kali Yuga, the final age of man.
The male divinity Kali that is referred to in the end of days in the Mahabharata refers to a time of great chaos and discord, and depending on how you read the dating in the script, we're well into it.
Even the Christian Bible predicts, in great detail, a horrific, fiery apocalypse.
The Christian writers on the end of time focus on certain things, that the Jewish people will return to the Holy Land and reclaim it, which happened some years ago, that the nation thereby established would finally claim Jerusalem, which has happened some years ago, that there would be a great expansion of the territory until it was a very large nation. Finally, it is the claiming of the temple, which is on Temple Mount, which is holy in Islam, but it must be taken and restored to its original condition. It is that place that the Messiah will actually come to rule the earth before the end of days.
The idea that we are living in end times, not necessarily the end of the world, but the end of a world, is quite global.
It is one of the best-known stories of the Bible, and variations of this ancient tale can be found in cultures throughout the world. From ancient Hindu teachings and Mesopotamian legends to Mesoamerican myths, it is written that the gods sent a powerful flood to wipe out all of humanity.
God is angry at human beings because human beings have not been behaving properly. They have been violating God's laws.
Certainly the most famous of these is the legend of Noah. In Genesis, God becomes so disgusted with the behavior of his creation that he says he repenteth of making them. And he brings forth the deluge.
In stories much older than the story of Noah, in the story of Gilgamesh, the Sumerian legend, the Council of Gods brought the flood. In Plato's writing, Zeus brought the flood.
In Hinduism, God had instructed that one day the whole earth would be flooded. When that happens, you build a boat and you gather the people, some animals, and I will save you.
The story of the Great Flood is often considered to be mythological. But similar stories of a cataclysmic flood can be found in approximately 1,200 different cultures around the world. And many anthropologists say that because these stories are so numerous and date back thousands of years, it is unlikely that they originated from a single source.
When we find similar myths all over the world, like the myth of the flood, then we have to ask ourselves, are these things that human beings came up with independently? Because, let's say, there was a great flood in ancient history that has been memorialized in people's mythologies because it was such a cataclysmic event that people looked for a religious explanation for it.
The fact that there are ancient stories that speak of the same flood, it almost leads into that direction that at some point, some cataclysm happened that not just affected one geographic area of the world, but the entire planet.
If a cataclysmic flood really did occur, killing most life on the planet, what could have caused it? And is there any physical evidence to suggest that it actually happened? Scientists say answers to both questions may be buried deep beneath the sea. The Indian Ocean. According to the 5 scientists who make up the Holocene Impact Working Group, this area, 900 miles southeast of Madagascar, is where an enormous asteroid struck the Earth thousands of years ago. This impact may have been so large that it triggered enormous tsunamis that flooded inland areas across the region, an event the local inhabitants would have perceived as a great flood.
Since so many ancient cultures have a flood story or a flood mythology, this is probably based in some sort of real event. And an asteroid landing in the ocean in the right place, triggering a tsunami, would then lead to one of these major floods.
The Holocene Group says evidence for a catastrophic asteroid strike lies in what they believe is an 18-mile-wide crater on the floor of the Indian Ocean, just west of the island of Madagascar. Holocene Group scientists believe further evidence supporting their theory also lies in what are called chevrons, ancient deposits of sediment and fossils in both Madagascar and Australia.
What was so out of place and unusual about the chevrons was that they weren't land-based debris, but rather it was the kind of debris you get from an ocean sea bottom. Things like marine animals, marine fossils. They've also found what's really the smoking gun of any asteroid or comet impact, and that's microbeads. The only way they're formed is by the extreme heat of an impact melting the rock being thrown into the air or water and cooling into these nice little spheres.
Planet Earth. Although there are many theories about its age and origin, one fact is certain. Our planet is billions of years old, and mankind's existence on its surface is relatively recent and fragile. Throughout history, the biggest threat to mankind has come in the form of natural disasters. But does that mean the world will end on December 21st, 2012? Recent evidence has shown that the ancient Mayans possessed knowledge about the universe and its fate that we are only just beginning to understand.
According to the Mayans, the world has already ended 4 times before this coming cataclysm. It ended before in fire and in ice and in water. And this next cataclysm could be a combination of all that, or even something completely different.
Not only did the Mayans know our place in the universe, but they also knew how old the universe was. Mayans put the date of the universe at 16.4 billion years. Modern science today puts it at about 14 and a half, maybe 15, and yet the better our technology gets, the more we begin to realize that the Mayans were correct.
Is it possible then, as the Mayans predicted, that the Earth and Sun will align with a black hole on December 21st, 2012? And if so, will such a cosmic event have dire consequences for our world?
The Tibetans believe that the sun is a lens, that it activates and amplifies things behind it or things coming in front of it. If that's the case, on December 21st, you have an energy that's coming from the center of the galaxy, that comes from the dark rift, that comes from the womb of the galaxy, if you will, that is now going to be amplified by the sun, that is going to have some kind of effect on humanity.
I think the Mayans had an understanding of celestial mechanics. They understood that the sun was going through change, and so my belief is that something will happen with the sun.
Well, we know from past experiences solar flares can interfere with electronic equipment. We could see the power grid go down, for example. We could see major things change in modern society that pretty much would cripple us. But if we're talking about losing that ability for any extended period of time, I dare say we'd be talking about a scenario that would result in major changes and quite possibly some very ill effects.
Some researchers speculate that the galactic alignment might change or even reverse how the Earth spins on its axis by altering its magnetic field.
A sign of the magnetic field changing quickly would mean something has to happen dramatically to the angular momentum of the stuff inside the Earth, which might also mean something happens drastically to the spin of the Earth itself. And once you change the rotation of the Earth, you do have a chance of causing huge effects. It's like having a whole bunch of massive earthquakes at the same time.
We talk about a magnitude 7 or a magnitude 8 or magnitude 9 earthquake as being destructive beyond imagination. But what would a magnitude 12 or a magnitude 20 earthquake do? Could it replace the land with the sea and the sea with the land? We're talking about events that we've never experienced before. So some of these changes that people are talking about that could occur could be life-changing, or they could be life-ending.
Spitsbergen, Norway. On this remote archipelago, not far from the Arctic Ocean, lies the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, known as the Doomsday Vault. This repository for the DNA of plants, animals, and humans can withstand nearly any cataclysm, including a flood, an earthquake, or a nuclear blast.
The Svalbard Seed Bank is a structure or a facility that's sunk into the permafrost. It's essentially an international effort to deposit as many seeds, particularly seeds of crop plant varieties, to help to preserve genetic diversity.
Are we creating our own modern-day Ark? One that, instead of housing 2 of every living creature on Earth, will house the seeds of every kind of plant life.
The Svalbard Seed Vault has been designed with some sort of cataclysm in mind. The idea is that in the event of some catastrophic event, it would still stay cold and preserve seeds for thousands of years. It's sort of this last hope for genetic diversity.
The Svalbard is just one of several biological storehouses located around the world. England's Millennium Seed Bank is even larger, while the U.S. federal government has built a similar facility in Fort Collins, Colorado. Scientists say one reason for these repositories is that another large asteroid, similar to the one that is believed to have caused the Great Flood, will eventually strike Earth. It's just a matter of time.
You always have the risk, and of course we've seen it here on Earth, of having large asteroids or comets hit the planet and cause tremendous ecological damage. Right now, all our genetic eggs are in one basket. Whether it's a comet or asteroid hitting us, we are in jeopardy.
In February of 2013, an asteroid large enough to take out all of New York City came within 18,000 miles of Earth. Another has been predicted to strike the Earth sometime in the next 20 years. But if a great flood or some other global catastrophe were to occur today, are we prepared to survive it? And if there really are extraterrestrial beings watching over the Earth, are they likely to be the cause of such a cataclysm? Or will they simply be observers, sitting quietly by and letting nature take its course?
If extraterrestrial gods are there watching us and either aware of future catastrophes or are capable of making them themselves, then perhaps we need to be prepared for that. We live in a precarious point where at any time we could go through another catastrophe. And you have to ask yourself if the extraterrestrials themselves may not create that.
One of the explanations for why extraterrestrials might seek to destroy humankind is because they treat us as their property. They treat us as their offspring, and they're able to make decisions about humanity based on their needs. So perhaps their needs were satisfied and they decided they didn't want humankind around anymore, so it's just as easy to wipe them out as it is to continue to perpetuate their existence.
The evolution of humans on this planet has been completely and totally an experiment on the part of extraterrestrials. If survival is the bottom line, they are trying to get us over some kind of a finish line when we're still alive.
Our survival was ensured by extraterrestrials way back in the remote past because we are their direct offspring. We are their product. They, in fact, have a vested interest in our survival.
Are there extraterrestrials watching over us, even to this day? Not to destroy us, but simply to see if we can prevail over the Earth's next great cataclysm? It is a question we may not have much time to think about, except to consider how much or how many will survive.